Gambian government's serious efforts to improve the governance and also management within the Ministry of Agriculture. Many efforts have been done with very good result, while we still have some issues to ensure and improve the effectiveness, efficiency, and sustainability of KR projects.
The meeting is expected to accommodate constructive discussions that would, among other things, look at the Gambia's drive for food security. Henri Diallo, GRTS.
Well, you can also follow that story and other GRTS programs live on www.grts.gm. There you can also monitor GRTS radio live. Time now to take our first break. When we come back, we'll take a look at news from outside the Gambia.
Nakala chilan. Register mo way. Kayo, go hard with chicken. What do we jot na de? Ñu ci me. So ma register wu te dañ ma dog de. Te do waxati. June 15 ku register wu dañ la dog. Register mo way.
Man de register na.
Man de register na.
Man sam register na.
Welcome back. Most people may associate slavery with days gone by, but forced labor is still a major international problem. That's according to a new study by the International Labour Organization, which was published today. According to the ILO, nearly 21 million people are trapped into jobs or being forced or deceived. CNN has been monitoring recent raids by Argentine police on 80 Bolivians who were commercially exploited.
The sweatshops were discovered behind these brick walls. There were no signs showing what was happening inside, and neighbors had no idea either.
In this neighborhood, there aren't normally any clandestine workshops, but oh well, it's just another surprise.
According to the Argentine Federal Police, the victims were 76 migrants from Bolivia who were forced to sew clothes around the clock. Police raided 12 sweatshops and arrested 23 Argentine and Bolivian nationals.
It happens, and it's very regrettable. Everything happens in the dark in this neighborhood. We need more police presence.
Police officials said people were forced to work in subhuman conditions. They were recruited in Bolivia, told lies, and transported to Buenos Aires, where they lived without documentation. Bolivia, a South American country where more than half of the population lives in poverty, is located just north of Argentina. According to a human rights activist, unskilled indigenous Bolivians who live in extreme poverty are vulnerable to human trafficking rings. Gustavo Vera is the director of a non-profit group that helps victims of forced labor in Buenos Aires. Vera says there are more than 3,000 sweatshops operating in the Argentine capital alone. He estimates 25,000 people work under conditions of slavery. Raids alone, Vera says, will not solve the problem.
They're very vulnerable people, and in just a few days they have to go back to work at some other clandestine sweatshop because they're undocumented in this country or because they're unfamiliar with Buenos Aires. Many go right back into the cycle of exploitation from which they came.
Vera's organization is trying to give exploited workers an alternative. At this workshop, workers make $4 an hour producing slavery-free clothes. Daisy Kawapasa says she was trapped in a sweatshop for years. Now she's free, but she says the practice of human trafficking still continues.
They're
still bringing people not only to Argentina, but also Brazil. There are many people being taken there, including minors.
The rules at this workshop are simple. There is no boss, and all decisions are voted on by the workers, a far cry from the world of forced slavery they left behind. Rafael Romo, CNN, Atlanta.
In 2 weeks' time, Greek voters will go to the polls. Well, that is causing anxiety among investors. Some of them are even worried about the banking crisis in Spain. As we hear in this report, the Eurozone countries are increasingly warming up for the worst-case scenario.
The Euro crisis may sound like old news, but in Spain, the credit crunch is in full swing. The collateral damage from the housing crash, empty and abandoned homes.
The authorities are giving a lot of aid to banks and businesses, but not to individuals.
That property crash has ended up as a pile of bad debt in Spain's banking system. Spain is spooking markets, and for good reason, says its former Prime Minister, Felipe González, calling this the worst crisis the country has ever lived through. It's a total emergency, he says. I'm calling for dialogue, understanding, and consensus. But consensus is in short supply in Europe, with the European Commission insisting Thursday Spain has to fix its own banking problems, that Europe won't ride to the rescue. And here's what's at stake. Spain is now being labeled too big to fail, yet too big to bail. It could cost as much as $875 billion to bail out Spain, and that includes the crippling debt of its banks. That's almost as much as the EU and the IMF have already set aside to bail out Greece, Portugal, and Ireland combined. The head of the European Central Bank, Mario Draghi, warned European bankers and politicians they need to disclose their debt obligations quickly and honestly.
We are more ambitious, really. We want to have early, candid, complete, thorough exchange of information.
The origins of the crisis in Spain, Greece, and Italy may be different, but across Europe, the debate is the same: austerity or growth. Italian Prime Minister Mario Monti has warned austerity can't be the only answer.
It is obvious that there is going to be sooner or later, and equally in other countries, a backlash against the very fiscal and structural discipline that we are imposing.
The trouble is, even as Europe's economy remains fragile, there is no agreement on how to fix it. Pauline, CNN, London.
Well, time now to take a look at sports. Members of the national football team, Scorpions, are slowly streaming in ahead of the weekend showdown with Morocco's Atlas Lions at the Independence Stadium in Bakau. Our Modu S. Jallo has been talking to the players and reports, despite fears some notable names on the team could be absent, morale is considerably high.
Scorpions' date with destiny is upon us, as Morocco jets into Banjul for the all-important weekend showdown. The Gambia and Morocco begin their quest for a place in the 2014 World Cup in a group which also contains the Ivory Coast and Tanzania. The build-up to the game has not been very smooth due to the late arrival of some of the foreign-based players and the sudden managerial change, which has sparked controversy ahead of the game. Saturday's crucial encounter with Morocco will be Luciano Mancini's first match in charge of the Scorpions, after being appointed the head coach just few days before the game. The Italians' first major assignment will be to prevent the Gambia from back-to-back home defeat. Memories of the Gambia's 2-1 defeat at home to the Desert Foxes of Algeria in February, ending the Scorpions' 5-year unbeaten run, are still fresh. But with the Saturday encounter just at the corner, the players are determined and focused on putting the painful memories of the Algeria defeat behind them, hoping to get the Gambia back to winning ways.
We made a mistake last game and we come to rectify that. On Saturday, I'll do everything to make sure what I did to the last game to do more, to show people that things were bad last time, but I want to make things right, okay?
Of course, we can remember the last game like Algeria, it was catastrophic, to be honest. Still now, I cannot even think about that game. But we have a new challenge now, that's on Saturday, to prove ourselves back again, to be on the right track. And I hope, inshallah, we will do our best, as always, again. But one thing you have to forgive us, definitely, it's been difficult for the players right now. I think that's the hard fact.
Luciano Mancini has invited both foreign and home-based players for the game, but the Italian tactician will be without the services of striker Ousmane Diallo, Seni Nyasi, Omar Jao, Keba Sise, and Dauda Ba, who are all notable absentees. They will sorely be missed, but there are quite a good number of them in the team who can rise up to the challenge when they take on the North Africans.
You've known that Modou Cissé, whenever he is fit, he's one of the Gambia's best players. We've seen him here today at the training ground. He looks very, very sharp, full of pace, physically strong, and he's currently a boy booming with confidence. He's a double winner with MSK Zilina in the Slovak Kogon Liga. That is the Slovakian Premier League. They are the Premier League champions, and they've also won the Slovak Cup for the first time. So he is another player who is booming with confidence at the moment. We know that Tubabo, even if he is half fit, he's played for this country without being fully fit, but he's always played his heart for the country. We know Pasha Kukujabi, like the former coach Paul Put used to say, he's a Champions League player.